Okay, good morning. I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is manager effectiveness and in the new world of work. Again, my name is John Greenawalt. I'm the SVP of Customer Transformation at 15.5. We're a performance management solution, and I'm the leader and the innovator of our Transform education and coaching practice for managers. I saw the possibility of adding coaching and training to modern HR technology and really what could be possible in scaling manager effectiveness in organizations, which is very difficult to do. I've got a 30-year career in leadership and talent development. I'm also the former Chief People and Culture Officer at Shark Ninja, which is the makers of the vacuums and blenders. You may actually have one of those products in your home. You probably had a smoothie this morning with one of them. And at Shark Ninja, I realized how difficult it is to scale manager effectiveness in an organization. Typically, and I've had most of my career is in the leadership services industry, and typically the investment and the spend in an organization goes to the senior leaders, where the managers, the frontline managers, middle managers are left to their own devices to figure out how to be a good leader. So it's very difficult because HR and L&D just typically doesn't have the budget or the staff to scale coaching and training in an organization. It's very hard to do internally. So how do you actually do that at scale? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end. So a little bit on how the world of work has transformed. As we know, it has transformed and it's continuing to transform. I'm going to talk about that specifically. And then why managers are so important in an organization. As we all know, they are the linchpin of the organization. They are the people who are having conversations with your people every single day. So what are the conversations that they're having? What is the tone, the context? And are they really effective in having those conversations and developing and supporting their people? And then I'm going to talk about, who is then this modern manager? Who is the manager of tomorrow? And what does it take to develop them? And I'm going to talk briefly at the end to the solution that we've innovated and how to make it more scalable in an organization. So, as we all know, job growth is slowing. The lowest monthly increase in November. Now, it's still a robust job market, but it's definitely cooling, and the interest rates that the Fed is raising is intended to cool the job market. It's the lowest increase since April of 2021. So the job market is definitely cooling. Job openings and quits are trending down, while layoffs are trending up. So the demand for labor has passed its peak. So we're starting to see more trends. And almost 4 out of 5 U.S. employees fear now losing their job during an upcoming recession. So we have employees being fearful of losing their jobs. And so we went from this boom period of like the great resignation and the great reshuffling to now people looking around saying, hey, I'm going to hunker down now. And according to Mary Daly, who's the president of the San Francisco Federal Reserve, recently said that the indicators are showing that workers are now going to be looking to stay in place. They're going to be asking for raises instead. In fact, you may have seen this, people coming and say, hey, you know what, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm really good, happy to be here. Or you're going to have people coming back from jobs that they went to left and they realized that the grass wasn't greener and they're coming back to work for the same company. So a little bit of a boomerang effect. So and you compound that also with productivity in the U.S. It's falling at a record pace. In the first 2 quarters of this year alone, the drop in productivity has been the worst since 1947. So there's a bit of a productivity glut that's beginning to happen, which is compounding the issue. And we've all heard this term quiet quitters, and Gallup came out with a poll recently that says like 50% of the people in the workforce have quiet quit, 50%. And I look at that as a trendy term for actively disengaged. Like the Great Resignation, that's been happening for some time. It wasn't a pandemic-driven anomaly. Quiet quitters is the same thing. People being actively disengaged has been going on for quite some time. And in fact, the ratio of engaged to actively disengaged is now at the lowest point in almost a decade. So we have an engagement issue. And it's not just a U.S. issue, it's a global issue. Only 33% of employees worldwide consider themselves engaged in their work. But we know that engagement matters. I mean, we've had engagement conversations, and tools to measure engagement have been around for quite some time. And it's shown, the research shows that highly engaged employees are more committed and they're more productive to the companies in which they work. And they want to feel valued, respected, they want to be known and heard and recognized for their ideas. They want contribution acknowledgement. So engagement matters. And in fact, businesses with engaged workers are 23% more profitable. So engagement is still really important, no matter how much the world changes. And in fact, it may be even more important in a remote or a hybrid workplace, because you can't walk down the hall and talk to people anymore. So it's hard to create engagement, particularly in a remote workplace. And it's very challenging for managers to be able to do that because they're relying on yesterday's skill set. In fact, 70% of a team's engagement is influenced by their managers. That makes sense. They're the ones talking to the people every single day, right? They're the ones who are having the conversations. But if they're remote or they're hybrid, it becomes more challenging to have those conversations. It requires a totally different skill set to do it that way. And then this just came out from Future Forum. This was their fall pulse report. And it showed that only 1/3 of managers themselves are engaged in their own jobs, with a lot more stress and anxiety being reported by managers, a decline in their own job satisfaction and their own work-life balance, and a much higher risk of burnout among managers themselves. And you may be experiencing this in your organizations. So we only have it's not just an employee engagement issue, it's a manager engagement issue, because they're struggling and they're suffering and they don't necessarily know how to adapt to the way the world has changed, because the world's changed. So we went from this great resignation growth period, resignation, reshuffling. People went to find better opportunities, right? So as the saying went, people didn't quit their company, they quit their manager. Okay, if you had a really good manager, you're probably less likely to leave your work during the Great Resignation. But that's kind of now shifting to this, what we're calling this post-pandemic recessionary period, where people won't quit their company, they'll just quiet quit their manager. And they will find other things. It's harder to do in a remote world to find out what people are doing or really monitor their productivity. And people might even go and find side gigs. Anybody in here have a side gig? Shh. So they're going to quiet quit. They're not going to give everything that they can because, you know what, they're not as engaged. And they don't have a manager who's engaging them in the right way. And why? Because 40% of employees say that their managers fail to have honest conversations about work. And 1/3 of workers say that their manager can't even lead a team. And 1/3 of HR time, this is your time, is spent dealing with issues caused by poor management. So you came here in HR, and I know, because that's why I did, to make a difference and lead the culture and, transform everybody, and yet you're spending most of your time cleaning up other people's mess. And I don't think that's what HR should be doing. So we have a manager issue, and again, I think it always comes back to this: how do we enable and empower our managers to be more effective, particularly in the new world of work? And this just came out recently from Intelligent.com. 91% of quiet quitters say that they could be motivated to work harder. 91%. And again, I think this falls on the manager. Who's motivating people every day? Yes, it's the culture. Yes, it's our values. Yes, it's our mission. Yes, it's the company and our brand, but it's the person who I report to has a lot of influencing on me and my motivation to put my heart and soul into my work. And 50% of workers say the flexibility of hours and location remains important to them. I think this is going to continue. We think this is going to continue. The cat's out of the bag. I mean, I work remote. I love working remote. I've never worked remote in my life. I'm never going back. Now, maybe if I were younger, I would want a little bit more time in the office, so flex is important, and that's really good. And I think, flex is the future of work. I really believe that. And they said 60 million hours of commuting time was saved during the pandemic. 60 million hours saved from driving in your car. And you know what people did with that time? They took care of their well-being. They spent more time with their families. And they worked harder. They got it all. So there is something really, really powerful about this, which we don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. And then lastly, workers, 49% say that they care about career growth, learning, and development. I mean, how long do people stay in their jobs nowadays? 2-3 years max? People are ambitious. They want to grow their careers. They're not here to be at a company for the rest of their lives. They want to make the next move, and they want leaders and managers who actually care about that and support them in their career growth and development rather than trying to retain them and keep them in the job, because they're going to leave anyway. So a good manager is really good at empowering and being a talent developer. So our managers really, again, are an extension of us. They are an extension of our HR team. So few big things here in the post-pandemic world of work, and what we're seeing is, one, people definitely want to stay engaged in meaningful work, feel valued, respected, and heard. They want a clear understanding of their role and responsibilities, and to be rewarded for extra work, really important. You can't just, do more with less and not reward people. So it's really important that they feel rewarded. They want autonomy and greater work flexibility, and they want to work for managers who care about them as the whole person, not just the work person, the whole human being, and support them and coach them and develop them in their own career growth and development as an individual. So in the new world of work, a thriving workplace will be powered by the modern manager. So who is this modern manager? I'm going to talk a little bit about this. We have to define this. It is the manager of tomorrow, not yesterday. And they have to have a new set of skills that perhaps when they got hired, they didn't have to have. A lot of times managers get put in their jobs for the hard skills, but the soft skills are the hard skills. And they didn't have to rely on that as much, particularly in a hybrid work world. So who is the modern manager? Okay, so first of all, the modern manager is someone who is self-aware. They know themselves. They are very self-reflected. They know that they're not perfect. They don't have all the answers. They have humility and authenticity. They don't have to be the star. They don't have to be the one. They're someone who really is committed to their ongoing career growth and development, and also to becoming their best selves at work. So they're self-aware. The modern manager is also someone who's excellent at cultivating relational mastery. They understand that relationships matter. Not just the work person, but the whole person on my team. I have to genuinely care about you, and I have to relate to you as the whole of you versus just what I need you to do, right? So someone who's really invested in building strong relationships so that people feel seen and heard and recognized, and frankly loved and appreciated for their time and what they give to the organization. And this is the harder one. Modern managers, good managers, understand the power of creating a shared context on their team. We talk about culture at the organizational level, but in my experience, culture happens at the team level. Where it happens is on the team. So a good manager knows how to create culture on their team that is aligned with the values and the goals and the mission and the purpose of the organization. Makes that happen where they are. And with high care and a commitment to achieving the goals of the organization and connecting what we're doing on our team to what's happening so that the people on my team feel that we're really contributing to the overall success of the company. So, and that can be really hard to do for any leader, let alone a new and emerging leader. So those three things are really, really critical. And this is all backed by people science. And the modern manager also has to know how to leverage contemporary people science to foster high-performing and highly engaged teams. There's so much stuff out there in the people science world. We have read, all these books have been written about it. There's so much great stuff. And a good manager's got to understand that that is backed by research. And the more I understand that, the more effective that will make me as a leader. And we've picked five areas that are really, really critical, and I'm going to talk about each of these briefly. So one, psychological safety and trust. You got to know how to build safety and trust in an organization so people can really rise to the occasion and be successful in their roles. Strengths-based development. That has been around a long time. How do you leverage people's strengths? Understand what they are and leverage them on my team. Positivity. How do I, as a leader and a manager, generate positivity in the organization and on my team so that people feel excited and get excited to come to work every morning? Intrinsic motivation. How do we intrinsically motivate people versus just throwing carrots at people? And then personal growth mindset. How do I, as a leader, foster a growth mindset in myself and help other people do the same? Growth mindset is critical to building success on teams. So I'm just going to go through these really quick, but some tips on some of these things that we use and practice every day as a company, but also help train and coach other leaders and organizations on how to do. So psychological safety, really, really important. How you create that, one of the things you do is you start your meetings with opening it up for 5 minutes. How you doing? Like, it sounds simple, but that really makes a difference. I open up all my one-on-ones at all my team meetings with talking about something outside of work to connect us as the whole people on our team. Role clarity is also really important for psych safety. Role clarity. People really need to know what you expect of them versus walking around wondering what you are expecting of them. Unspoken expectations are a killer in an organization. So what we do is we create role and performance agreements where we co-create it with one another and we revisit it on an ongoing basis. That is different than a job description. And things change, so you can't rely on the job description that the person was hired from in order for them to know specifically what success looks like in their role. So as a good manager, we're revisiting these all the time, and that includes goals, outcomes, behaviors, and shifts as their roles change or the business change. So that is really, really important. Strengths, again, strengths-based development. This has been around a long time. You don't even have to be a master of Clifton strengths. You just got to know that people have strengths. And my strengths are different than your strengths. And if I can understand a little bit about what your strengths are as a leader, then I can position you in things that actually leverage your strengths, because people are happier when they're leveraging their strengths. And we need to have regular conversations about that to make sure that what you're doing and your role and performance agreement is aligned with your strengths. And including us having conversations about your career growth and development so that you are pursuing things that are aligned with your strengths and we're talking about where you want to go next in your career. That's really, really important so that you're pursuing things that are important to you and that you're passionate about. Positivity. A good leader, a modern manager understands the power of positivity in an organization. They know what it means to have positive relational energy. We are sponges of people's energy. It's contagious in an organization. How you show up has a direct and immediate impact on people. And a lot of times managers don't know that. Like if I come in and I'm in a crappy mood, that's going to get all over you. So do whatever you need to do. I don't know, like meditate or like sit in your car and just like clear your head and come in. So you're great, because it's really important. And I think, again, new managers don't notice that and don't see it. Give more positive feedback than negative. No, we've all been in cultures where it's a fear-based culture and we're always getting challenged. We're getting negative feedback. People are their own worst enemy. We all suffer from negativity bias, right? So the sting of a rebuke lasts longer than the joy of a praise. It's to quote Adam Grant. Isn't that how it is for you? Like it lingers longer. So as leaders, we have to pour on the praise. We have to tip the scale. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't give negative or constructive or redirective feedback, but people, again, are their own worst enemy. And they want to be motivated and they want to know that they're doing a good job. And that's really key for managers to do. Intrinsic motivation. I said this earlier, but you got to learn how to optimize people's energy. What energizes you is very specific to you, and versus what de-energizes you. So me as a manager, I gotta have an understanding of what work really energizes you, and have you do more of that and less of the work that de-energizes you. because you're unique that way. As Marcus Buckingham talks about this a lot. That is intrinsically motivating to people. And then setting goals that are aligned with your strengths. You've got to be able to be good at setting goals and help people come up with goals that are intrinsically motivating to them versus just throwing carrots at them. And I'm telling you, if you don't have a goal, if you can't come up with a goal in your job that motivates you intrinsically, you're in the wrong job. Like, honestly, if you can't come up with a goal, then you should go find another job. So it's really important that, because who wants to come to work and not be motivated every morning? So goals that are aligned with my strengths and my passion are really important to my own intrinsic motivation. And then lastly, growth mindset. I love this, and I'm such a big believer in growth mindset. For me to foster it in myself and help the people on my team do it. And one of the best ways to do that is help people not just set up goals that are intrinsically motivating, but have them come up with at least a breakthrough goal, a goal that has them go above and beyond what they think is possible today. That's a bit of a mind blower. Like whether you've run a marathon or you hiked some mountain that you didn't think you climbed, that your pursuit of that goal was what transformed you. Because growth doesn't happen any other place. Growth doesn't happen by creating ordinary goals that you already know how to achieve. So, and I know everyone in here has done that, where your biggest breakthroughs is when you committed to something you didn't know how to do, and then you figured out how to go do it. So I believe that every leader or every person should have at least one of those, and I try to have people on my team all have at least one breakthrough goal that they're working on every quarter or every year. And then lastly, constructive feedback. Again, if you do all this right, as a manager, it provides you a lot more safety and trust to really have the most difficult conversation for any leader to have, and that's a constructive or redirective feedback conversation. That's hard to do, right? But I'll tell you, one of the best things is to present it as an observation versus a judgment. You get feedback typically happens when you're all hot and you come in with a judgment and you put it on them and immediately puts them on their defense. Negativity bias kicks in, and they don't hear a word you said. So good redirective feedback is either what I saw, heard, or noticed. I share it with you as an observation, not a judgment, and it goes a lot better. And for those of you who are good at that, you know what I mean. It changes the conversation. So that's really, really important for managers or any leader to learn how to do in an organization, because feedback doesn't happen otherwise. So developing the modern manager, this is something that we've been working on. I've been working on for the last 3 years at 15.5. Again, I think it's very challenging to scale it. But here are some just last minute tips here. McKinsey came out with this report recently that says leadership development, modern manager development in the future has got to have 3 key components. It's got to be continuous. This one and done is over. It's got to be experiential. You also have to give people the opportunity to have ahas in the experience, breakthroughs in their own thinking. And then it's got to be in the flow of work over time. So then there has to be mechanisms to help make that possible, in addition to both on-demand, live coaching and training. So we've invented the Manager Accelerator. And in fact, this just won a 2002 Best in Business Award, gold medal. We just got it last week, as a matter of fact. And it works like this. This learn and forget model of yesterday that we've all experienced. We've gone off site, we get fire hosed with content, and then we're told to go put it in practice. Well, good luck. How did that go? It's very hard to do. Adults don't learn that way. So it's got to be in the flow of work. Our methodology is learn, practice, apply. You learn it, you practice it together in cohorts, and then you go out and apply it, and you come back and you learn something more. That is in the flow of work, and that's using technology, but also live facilitated coaching and training. And look, there's a lot of talk in the market about coaching, democratizing coaching. I'm all for coaching. I think coaching is fantastic. But leaders and modern managers need skilled training. They need to learn some of these modern skills that are so critical. The soft skills are more nuanced and more difficult. And when you combine coaching and training, what we find is that there's a much higher lift and more efficacy of the learning through the coaching. And particularly small cohort coaching is really powerful. You don't even need to do one-on-ones, as long as it's in a small cohort. And our curriculum, again, this is all based on people science and a curated content for what's really, really critical for modern managers today to be effective in this hybrid new world of work. And we offer 3 tracks. We can do it online, and we provide in-house leadership talent development inside with the resources to deliver it. Or a lot of our customers choose hybrid, where it is the on-demand, plus we provide the group coaching. We have in-house professional trained coaches that do this. Or a lot of our customers just go straight up live, where we do the live facilitated training courses online over Zoom, and then we also do the live group training over time. So it's a continuous loop. And it's been extremely effective. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful. Obviously, I'm very passionate about what we do. Thank you. I will be here. My team is here. If you have more questions about this, the science, anything, or you just want to talk to us or learn more, please come find us, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.